It is moving day for these tanks finally. Finally, we're gonna move these fish into temporary holding tanks so we can actually get started with the final plan of getting the 180-gallon tanks in here, setting them up, scaping them. I got some amazing plans and I'm incredibly excited. But now that the tanks are actually here, that you guys know of in the last video, it's time to actually move things over. However, before we even touch a fish, I wanna show you what I've been working on. So the Oscars are getting moved over to that tank over there. However, you guys remember these filters I built? The saltwater filter is now up and running. I actually have this one up and running as well, and that's the beauty of these filters, is that it doesn't matter what the water level is, they can still operate and completely function. Water comes in through here, it's mechanically filtered through this sponge. This is just temporary setup. I'm going to dump all cycled media into this from the 120-gallon tank. Finally, it goes into the final chamber where I can offer chemical filtration, or even put a filter, or I'm sorry, a heater in there, and then of course it just overflows and drains. To my delight, these are completely silent. We got lids on them, I braced them. I kind of updated you guys on this the other day, but man, does it ever look sexy up here. I love the way it looks. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so as this fills with fresh water, I'm going to take all the media from the Oscar tank that's in the hang on the back filters, and I'm gonna put it in the filter over here, allowing these fish to be immediately moved to their new home with a cycled filter. In today's video, all we're going to do, it's quite a bit of work actually, we're moving this tank over there, we're setting the filter up, and then we have to move one more over, and I'm thinking 2 of these tanks with the smaller fish can stay behind, but I'll also move the Archer tank and get their filter up and running. And again, they're only temporarily going over there, and everybody else will go in probably the 40 gallons. And then I'll build the racking system. We'll get the 180s on there, build the filters for them, scape them, set them up, and then transfer the fish back to their final homes. Anyways, let's get started. There is so much pothos on top of this tank. Every tank will eventually have pothos on top of it, which is just a common house plant, but it will obviously grow in an aquarium. And what we're doing here is not only does it look aesthetically pleasing, and it's actually really pretty, but it's also sucking the nitrates out of this tank, prolonging water changes, making the water quality in the aquariums just that much better. So, in this filter, which is just a hang on the back, it's packed full of cycled biological media. I'm gonna take this and dump it into the back of that filter. Now put this into perspective. Throughout the entire last 4 or 5 years, I've showed you guys that we can filter aquariums with a vast array of different methods of filtration, so long as they are being sized properly and filtered properly. And in this rendition, we did this with hang on the back filters, a pair of hang on the back filters that are rated for 100 gallons each, and I just doubled it up. Whenever you buy a manufactured filter that's rated for a certain size aquarium, I always cut that rating in half. Like I said, these are AquaClear 110s, technically rated for 100-gallon or 110-gallon aquarium. Yeah, right, because watch this. I just dumped all of the media that was in it into here, and we didn't even make a dent. Now I gotta put another one in there, and it's probably not even gonna layer the bottom that well. So I'm going to not only be able to have everything that those 2 filters have, but 4 times that amount sitting on top of my aquarium, using less power, yet far more functional. And my lord, I don't know if you guys think it, but man, I think these things are just sexy. Also, I should probably stop referring to aquatic related things as being sexy, especially in front of my girlfriend. Otherwise, she's gonna start thinking something's up. Something is up. So this is both filters with their media moved over. You'll also notice that I went ahead and put the sponges in there. Let's not forget that biological media can be a sponge, ceramic media, it could be anything. Bacteria is not a free-floating organism. It needs a surface to survive on. So these sponges that came out of those filters are just as saturated with bacteria as these little balls. So of course I want to keep these cycled, and of course I want to keep them in the aquarium. You know, I'll be able to start up other filters and pre-cycle them with this. A cycled sponge filter is worth its weight in gold. Keep that in mind. Wow, the Oscars are way bigger than I thought, and way prettier as well. It'll be interesting to see them under saltwater lighting. And this is a saltwater light that's on it because this is technically going to be a saltwater aquarium, but it's just fresh water in here right now. so different. Interesting stuff. Good thing about moving Oscars is they're so trusting. They'll get in the net thinking there's food in it. Okay, dramatics. Last one is the puffer. Notice that he's not puffing up. Notice that the transition and move was incredibly smooth. He's doing fine. There he is right there. Perfectly fine. Tyrese is, he's gonna be fine. One of the things you don't want to do is constantly chase them around, but I gotta say, I've moved puffers quite a bit, and a lot of the times I'll either use like something like this. In fact, I moved them like this, and that's technically the best way to move them. You want to keep them in the water so they don't inflate. But puffers will often practice inflating and stretching their muscles, etc. It's a sense of, and a form of defense. We know that. But I've also seen other like YouTubers and whatnot criticize the way I keep pufferfish or the way I move them, like as an opportunity to try to discredit me. I just want to say one thing. Notice that my pufferfish are alive, but they can't keep them alive longer than a couple months. Be careful where you get your information from on the internet. Doesn't matter how many subscribers somebody has or anything like that. Look at their aquariums and look at their fish and base your opinions off of that. I don't like talking like this, so that's it for that. So the tank is completely emptied and cleaned up. We got the suction cups on here. You guys know I love these. I can climb walls with these. They hold about 660 pounds a piece. This tank only weighs a couple hundred pounds. The Oscars, everybody's actually doing really good over here. The Fahaka, everybody's doing fine. It's time to move the tank, but I have a bit of a confession, and I don't know if you guys are going to allow it, per se. So obviously I get Tamara to sometimes help me move tanks around, and she's actually quite strong for being such a little girl, but these tanks are going up 4.5 feet in the air. It's really hard to do that. It's not like she's the Incredible Hulk like myself and can put a 400-pound tank up there. So I have a friend, I don't know why, I have to do this sort of thing with you guys. You guys lose it every time there's a new person in my video. But believe it or not, I have more than one friend. And the reason why I'm doing this is because hashtag not Gary. Love you and miss you. Come back and help sometime. I got my buddy Jay from back in the day. Come to help me out. Come to move some tanks. He's always here with me, just in the background type of deal. We're gonna pick this tank up. We're just gonna put it over there. The only thing he's missing, just give me a sec. Twins! Wait. Twins! Alright, let's go.
Oh, I missed your tippy toes.
Contrary to Tamara's snide remark about me being on my tippy toes, I certainly was not. I'm actually about 6'4". Okay, closer to 5'9", like the internet says. But that's average, right? Oh, it's stuck. Oh, it's so heavy! All right, full disclosure, before I get a friend that doesn't keep fish, this is the reason I don't get friends to help me with stuff that don't keep aquariums, because they ask me silly questions. We're about to move the tank. He's like, are we going to be moving that with water in it? No, Jay, we're not moving it with water. Perfect fit. Love it. You know, I've moved a lot of tanks with my friends before. And Gary, he did such a better job. No, he didn't, Gary. You moved the tanks the best. Love you and miss you. Come back and help sometime. All right, big shout out to my buddy Jay. You know, I always get excited when my friends get involved and they help and they get to come and see my world and see who I've become over the years as opposed to who I used to be. And now it's really nerdy. He was listening in the background just... You don't talk like that. I have way too much fun doing this sometimes. So, the 120s are now moved. I actually moved all of them. This is actually the tank that the archers were in. We moved it from the end there because they were one of the easier fish to move, and they need a 120. Now note, look at their coloration in this tank as opposed to previously. Now, they're darkened up, their stripes are far more prominent. And looking absolutely gorgeous. And this is an indication of some of the things I've told you guys before, whereas, and they were a little washed out before, that's why I'm bringing this up. But the reason why I talk about this is we've talked about the fact that a fish's environment can definitely impact their coloration. And that's what happened with these guys. They were on a white substrate, which kind of washed them out. So moving forward, I think it would be good to do a dark substrate, maybe black perhaps. I did save all their substrate from the Oscar tank, so they're doing fine. As for the Oscars, they look really, really weird in a under saltwater lighting, if I do say so myself. Very interesting though, their colors and whatnot is just, I'm not a huge fan, but you can definitely see some coloration that you wouldn't have been able to see before, because the saltwater lights are, you know, they hit a little bit harder on some of the reds and blues as opposed to freshwater. But they're all doing fine, all doing great. Tyrese back there laying down like a lazy bum that he is. Obviously, I got to clean up all the cords and the wires and whatnot. Oh, and Kevin, damn Kevin, you know what he did? He ate every single anemone and then chewed the rock apart. This is just a temporary holding tank, but you know, he ate all the anemones. He didn't for the longest time, but I think once we moved him in here, he couldn't help himself. But that's Kevin for you. I mean, he's just a glutton, and he's actually getting really, really big. This tank is going to be for him exclusively, and then all the other fish will eventually come up here. I'll turn that back into saltwater as well, and we'll go from there. One thing that I'm loving about this racking system is a couple of things. I love the heights of the tank. They are at, viewing height. I love the lids. You guys seen that we made these lids here a little while ago. And the filters themselves in the back, they are just perfect. Absolutely silent and working phenomenally. I think I'm going to change this into chemical filtration. Maybe we'll add in some activated carbon of some sort just to make sure that water is crystal clear. But like, things are definitely coming together out here. There's just so much more that we have to do. Over the weekend, I'll be moving these guys. I'll shut those tanks down. The piranha are either going to go in a 40 or in this 120 down here, or we might do that with the frontosa and shell dwellers. We'll see what happens. And then I have to rip this entire thing down, build a new rack. All of my lights, I'm storing them because I'm going to all do-it-yourself lights, all do-it-yourself lids, stands. There's going to be a lot of cool things. And of course, the do-it-yourself filtration that I think you guys are really going to like. So the next thing I got to do, of course, is, like I said, remove all this, build the new rack, get the tanks on, and start building once again. But for now, things are looking awesome, and I love it, and I hope you guys too. If you want to see everything that we're doing, you're not subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you do, or you're going to miss them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Also, Kevin, I'm putting him up for adoption. I will pay you $20 to take him. First come, first serve. I'm kidding. I love Kevin. He's just a jackass for eating those anemones, but, you know, here's a possibility. Whatever. I mean, he's not scared of me either. He's such a tough guy. Punch him right in his mouth. Put you right in those fat lips of yours. All right, see you guys.